Hello, konnichiwa, Wojtek des. Today I will talk about artificial intelligence. As you know, it's the talk of the town nowadays. It's a fast changing field and it is very difficult to say something definitive about it. It's even changing so fast that the BBC website has changed its technology pace twice in not more than a year time. The only thing we can be sure of is that AI will change things. By the way, I've put all the links to articles I refer to in the description. We don't know exactly how AI will change things, and we don't know whether it will always be cheaper than human intelligence. But but to know that, we have to know the costs of AI. That's difficult to estimate, but at least we know how much money has already been spent on it. We know that Samsung expects profits to jump more than 1,400% for the 3 months to June 2024 compared to the same period last year. Mind you that this announcement of such a huge expected rise in profits made the shares only jump 2%. The market had already taken it into account. Is the result of extreme high demand for AI chips in data centers and smartphones, according to Mark Einstein, chief analyst at ITR Corporation in Tokyo. We noticed other effects in the IT business. Nvidia's GPUs dominate the chips needed for artificial intelligence. It became the most valuable company for a moment. Its shares rose almost 100-fold in a year time. According to analyst Wedbush Securities, there will be a race to a $4 trillion market cap in tech between Nvidia, Apple and Microsoft, so there's really a huge amount of money involved. Based on the figures from companies like Samsung and Nvidia, it's possible to estimate the current investments in AI. David Kahn published on the 20th of June 2024 a simple way to estimate the total investments. All you have to do, he says, is to take Nvidia's run rate revenue forecast and multiply it by 2 to reflect the total costs of AI data centers. GPUs are half of the total cost of ownership. The other half includes energy, buildings, backup generators and so on. Then you multiply by 2 again to reflect a 50% gross margin for the end user of the GPU. That means the startup or the business buying a compute time from Azure or AWS or GCP who needs to make money as well. He finally concludes that in the first quarter of 2024 there's a $363 billion too short to account for the investment still that quarter. Mind you, he only considers the figures from Nvidia, not from other chip producers. In the 29th issue of Goldman Sachs report, Top of Mind, dated on the 25th of June 2024, you can download from the internet and I've put the link in the description. In this report, Jim Covello even estimates that there will be more than $1 trillion USDs during the next several years for the build-out of the AI infrastructure, which includes spending on data centers, utilities, and applications. Covello's question now is, what $1 trillion problem will AI solve? One of the problems is that buying GPUs alone is not enough. As Khan noticed, those GPUs have to be used in equipment, which also costs money. But Covello and other people mention in the Goldman Sachs report also another problem: building the power stations and electricity grid for the distribution of the necessary extra electricity to power all those servers. They say they see a necessary huge investment in infrastructure. Can't see some positive changes. He notices no shortage in GPU supply anymore. He even notices that the GPU stockpiles are growing, but the market shortage of 125 billion US dollars he saw in September 2023 will rise to 500 billion USDs, half a trillion, by the end of 2024. Comparing his figures with those from the experts from Goldman Sachs, he can't be far off the mark. Now, how to determine the problem? Kasrangan remarks in the same report from Goldman Sachs that there is a three-phase cycle, the IPA cycle. which stands for infrastructure, platform, and application cycle. You can't run applications without a good platform, and you can only have a good platform thanks to good infrastructure. Khan admits the GPUs and the other chips are available, but he also points to the necessity of building infrastructure. The experts of Goldman Sachs say that could create a bottleneck because building electricity generating stations is highly regulated. Mind you, most figures put forward by Sachs experts concern the USA, not other parts of the world, which means that the total costs and the total market value could even be higher, and will even be higher. Lack of flexibility for building power stations and electricity grid could therefore hamper the profitability of AI investments. But it's not only a matter of energy and infrastructure costs, there is also another element which might elude us at first. In 2023, the carbon emissions by Google raised with 14.3 million tons. That is 48% more than in 2019. Google says it is due to increasing energy demands from the greater intensity of AI compute. A generative AI system such as ChatGPT might use around 33 times more energy than machines running task-specific software, which also means that if you can use other types of software, there is no reason to use AI because it's too expensive. The actual cost in energy and for the climate might be much higher than lots of people think after they got a free account on ChatGPT. To offset the rising environmental costs, there will be an even higher strain on investments in energy sources, in alternative energy sources like windmill parks, solar panels, hydro energy, and all that kind of forms. The question arises whether these are jobs which AI can execute at a lower cost than human beings. Some people already see the end of the hype. Some warn that companies tend to label anything AI, like for instance fiber cables. They call this tendency AI washing in reference to greenwashing. No wonder that the Financial Times already sees some overhyped stocks losing market value. One of the best known AI projects turned out not to have anything to do with AI. It was Just Walk Out by Amazon. It was kind of a shop. You went in the shop, you took what you wanted, and you went out without actually paying yourself. Everything happened, so said, automatically, and everything would have been done by artificial intelligence, watching cameras, and making up the bill. But it seemed that they needed around 1,000 workers in India to manually check almost 3/4 of the transactions. Now, Jim Covello points out in the Goldman Sachs report that it won't be the first time that the tech hype cycle led to spending on technologies that didn't pan out in the end. He cites as examples the virtual reality, the metaverse, and blockchain. They lacked interesting real-world applications. That doesn't mean, of course, that AI would never be beneficial, but it does mean we aren't there yet, and investors want the highest profit possible for their money. A hype is not exactly what they want. Putting money in the hype is because of fear of missing out, the old-fashioned FOMO. But if they find an investment which is more interesting, then they will jump to that other investment. So AI could even have a lack of money just to invest in it. At the same time, copyright holders and authors are getting suspicious about their material being used to train generative AI. Firms like Sony Music, Universal Music Group, and Warner Records start lawsuits because of copyright infringement on an almost unimaginable scale. The copyright infringement is said by them to be on an almost unimaginable scale. Authors like George Martin also sued AI companies because they have been training AI based on their material. So that means that the cost of training AI could go up. The question is also whether the public is willing to accept AI for creative work. The K-pop band 17 used AI on their latest album, and although some fans were open to it, nobody liked the idea that AI would be used for their complete album. And following a public backlash, a cinema in central London, in Soho actually, had cancelled a private screening of a film which was entirely written using AI. maybe artists don't have that much to worry about because we have a bit of a cult around artists and singers and so on, a personal cult, and that doesn't fit with the idea of making art with AI. Vocaloids like Miku Hatsuno also haven't pushed real singers out of the market. But there is also the issue of energy efficiency. The human brain operates on approximately 12 watts of power. A high performing a high performance GPU like the Nvidia 3090 can consume around 650 watts when running compute intensive tasks. That's over 50 times the energy consumption of the human brain for a single computer setup. Most of the above looks at the issue of a business perspective, when to invest and where to invest. But that's not the end of the problem. Why? Because human beings are already there, whereas AI machines are extra energy costs and carbon footprint which wasn't there in the first place. So suppose AI would do it better than human beings. How are we going to switch off the human brains which will be replaced by AI? So that's food of thought. Thanks for watching.